to Land and Legacy by Griffith Realty. I'm Scott Griffith, and this is my sister Carol Griffith, and we're the owners of Griffith Realty. And today we have a great guest. We're talking about a crucial role of our community, a part of the fabric that makes us so special in Livingston County. We have Anne Rennie, the Executive Director of the United Way. And we are so blessed to have such a dynamic and active United Way in Livingston County. Carol and I both have had the pleasure of both serving on the boards and being what do you call it, fund chairmen and doing all those things. But you know, it's with blessings that we do it, not because of work, because it was a great experience. So welcome, Ann. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me, and I would say that we are blessed to have you guys as involved as you have been over the years.
Well, it's special to everybody. We actually can remember our father and grandfather talking about the red feather when we were kids, and the red feather was the predecessor to the United Way, which back, I think it was called, what was it called, the something fund back in those days. It was first the red feather, then it was like the United Fund or something, and then it became the United Way as it grew. And so we can remember them volunteering. So for us, it goes way back, you know.
Wonderful legacy.
It is it is a great legacy. So, because of our involvement, Ann and I and Carol have had the opportunity to talk even before we were on this podcast. So we have certain things we can talk about that we think that makes United Way really special right now. Over the years, there's been quite an evolution in the way the United Way operates. For a short time when I got out of college, I worked in downtown Detroit for Burroughs Corporation, and it was one of the corporations that helped build United Way along with the auto industries. And in those days, it was all about give once and give to all. And United Way was the major, if not entire, funding source for many of the charities that existed, especially in the urban markets like Detroit and some of the others. And that was kind of our slogans out here. And over the years, most of these nonprofits have grown to need way more funds and actually to be more successful than those early days. A lot of those were startups that became famous. And so now the United Way provides a whole different role in the way it supports our nonprofits. And I'll let you go a little farther. I can talk about, but you talk about first, and then I'll fill in. So,
well, it's funny you say that. So I was shocked when I got to United Way. I've only been here for 3 years, but I've been involved with United Way for 20 years because I didn't know that they were the original community chest, which is on the Monopoly board, which the concept was if you had some funds, you could put it in the community chest, and if you needed some funds, you could take some out of the community chest. We kind of are still doing it a little bit like that, so it's remarkable to think about. But over the years, we really have found that our local agencies provide service in a way that our support has really allowed them to do things outside of a structured expectation of like a federal grant. So in our community, we may have some federal grants, but sometimes we have a family, which I'm going to end up talking about Alice, that really doesn't fall into what we would call poverty levels, but has risen above that. They're actually working and they're have an income and they're paying their bills, but they're not really at like a self-sustaining level yet. And so sometimes they may have a car repair or, an illness or something, and that can impact their ability to pay their bills that month. And so really a lot of our local agencies will use United Way funds to help fill in that little gap. So they might not meet the criteria of, 100% of poverty level or whatever the federal guidelines are, but they're a family that needs help today. They live in our community. We don't want them to lose their home. We want them to have a car to get to work.
Sure.
And so it gives us that flexibility to work with those partners and really get the funds into the hands of our community members who need it right now.
And so United Way has become the organization who has defined that group. And as you mentioned a moment ago, which is referred to as ALICE, which is the asset limited income
constrained
work employed individuals.
Yep.
But so as someone once put it, they're a flat tire from being in a cycle where they can't make their payments because they can't go to work one day and it impacts their employment that day, and the next thing they don't have the money to pay the rent, and then there's food issues, and so they're not. So we don't characterize them as they have a problem, but they're as close to as one bad incident, as you say, one illness, one car problem from being in a spiral that they can't dig out of. And so United Way has learned to support those. And so one of the things that's gone on, and I know that you're very involved in, is United Way now has developed coalitions to identify key areas to see how they can be supported, as I understand it. And so we have both food, we have shelter, and is there 3 of them?
So there is. Food is our Hunger Council, which is anybody in the county that is providing some sort of food resource to our community. They work together towards countywide solutions. We have the Homeless Continuum of Care. That group actually also works in a setting where they try to make sure from the minute somebody needs some housing support all the way through stabilized, affordable housing, if we can get them in that.
Nice.
And then we also have the Great Start Collaborative, which is early childhood education. And their focus really is from before the child's born, actually, supporting families so that when they have a baby, they can get them connected with resources and be able to get them linked with, preschool programs and prepare for school and reading and literacy and all those good things. So, and we are actually working on a 4th coalition that we are working to create that the county commissioners have been talking to us about as well, which is for our older adult population. We have a group in the county called the Livingston Leadership Council on Aging, and we have been working on some funding strategies to be able to bolster up some of our senior centers. We have a couple senior centers that are really large, savvy, got lots of exercise things, lots of educational opportunities, and then some that don't have very many resources at all. So we're working on that now. I'm hoping within the next year, we're able to come back and tell you all about this new collaborative and some funding we're going to be able to channel into making sure that our older adults in the county can age in place and stay right here.
I mean, and so not to over rah-rah here United Way, but the point being is we're blessed that these organizations will work together. It has been the United Way that has been the leader in trying to bring them together to work together. They work well together and they do great work. I don't want to minimize what they do. It's just I want everybody to understand that United Way, though, took the initiative to start to bring them together. And then we've even gone as far as through the funding, the allocation process, to make sure that there's funds for each of those pockets to be able to keep those collaboratives going and so forth. And there's been some great positives come out. I mean, I know what was at least 2 years ago, we were able to say that through the Food Coalition that we had, what do you call it when everybody who's eligible could have food.
Sufficient.
Yeah, so food secure.
We were a food secure county.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't mean that, as we all know, if somebody doesn't come and get the food or they won't take the food, doesn't mean that they're not hungry. But the point being is we had enough food to allocate to everybody who may need food. So that was impressive.
Yeah, a good example of that Hunger Council, exactly what you're saying, is that group is so good at working together that when the state shut down for COVID on a Friday, by Monday, they had multiple sites open for kids who were on free and reduced lunch to have food available the first day that school was closed.
That's awesome.
Literally, they met that day, they pulled them all together, and they had a plan by Monday. So that is a group that's, recognizing the needs as the community is experiencing them, and they had a solution like immediately. It was amazing to watch.
That is great.
That is great.
That is wonderful.
Yep.
And so obviously when people think of United Way, over the years they've thought about fund drives, but United Way's done a good job of doing more than that. And I'm going to go to the fact that people can donate time. We've just finished the Day of Caring, and so I'll let you do the highlights on it, Ann. But the ability to have everybody in the community come together for one day to do good is just a wonderful thing. I think we need to have a monthly day of caring, not a yearly. But anyway, that's me. But
I don't know if my gray hair and hair color can take that. But yeah, so you're talking about the Day of Caring, which was just last week. And Griffith Realty was our major sponsor and has been for many, many years. And what that means is that those sponsorships, they cover the cost of materials. So on this one day, we had 58 different projects throughout our county, anywhere from, some light repair to ramp buildings needing to be sustained so they don't fall down, toilet replacements, sink replacements, painting, landscape. It's remarkable. And all those projects got done by almost 700 volunteers this year. So I think it was 689.
That is amazing.
Wonderful.
Yeah, amazing. As you guys were there.
Yeah, we
These
were there.
guys were both there
You just
helping.
don't get a scope of 680 people because you're on a project with a handful of people. And
You're
just,
right.
But
It's remarkable.
That is remarkable.
And then what's accomplished on that day, I mean, I don't even think pictures can really do it justice between the partnerships of businesses that come with a group of friends and family and they get things done, or some of our corporations. I mean, we had a corporation bring 70 people to knock out the Howell Nature Center.
That's amazing.
All the needs over there. I mean, it's just a remarkable day, and it fills you with such inspiration that you see like neighbors taking care of neighbors and people going the extra mile. And people said, I just asked if there was anything else we could do while we were there.
Yes.
Well, and
Makes
if
it
anybody's
worthwhile.
ever done it, if you haven't done it, you need to do it, because it isn't the fact of doing it. It's seeing how much of the people appreciate that being done for them, and the fact that somebody just out of their goodwill does it for somebody else for their goodwill. It's wonderful. It's the part of giving back, right?
You walk away from that day saying, okay, that's what it's about, right?
It is what
that's
it's about, right?
community
That's
is really about.
That's the community
That's what
part,
makes
yeah.
Livingston County so unique.
I would agree. Yeah. I think those are the events that you see and hear about that you're like, really happy we live here.
I mean,
Right.
we don't want to minimize. Livingston County is extremely generous.
Yeah.
I mean, our drive every year has been about $1 million, and it covers many of the infrastructure, the crucial, what do you want to call it, infrastructure of the community that supports people in many different fashions. But it is great when you can also volunteer and get your hands dirty and feel like you did something for somebody.
I would agree. I think we are very fortunate to have people in this community who not only do donate funds, but are willing to come and lend a hand, or, get supplies or bring something over and just say, hey, I really wanted to make a difference today. It's amazing to watch.
So what do you think are some of the biggest challenges, both for United Way and even for our community at this point, as you look at it from a...
I think the, coming out of COVID, I think it's very interesting to see the employment situation and so many people not choosing to come back to work, or, the working situation looking so different, working from home and stuff.
Yeah.
I do think that that's going to have some impacts on our natural connections that we've done through like a workplace campaign. But I also see a lot of people reaching out and saying, now that I'm at home, I have a little time. Could I help with something? Is there something you need? So I think
that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think the philanthropy heart that we have in this community is people do want to make a difference. I'm worried about our older adults. I think if you've gone to a home during a day of caring and you see some of the situations where our older adults are trying to age in place, stay in their home, and yard work is hard to keep up, and those kind of like small repairs, or even just like stairs and steps and things, I worry about that. I hope that we can get a senior support going, because I do think that they could use just a little attention to make sure that when they're, needing arm bars or a railing or so, that they can reach out and we can help with that. So I think that's going to be a direction, especially as we have a aging community that we need to really recognize might need a little extra help.
Well, I know, having sat on the board and on the finance committee, so one of the more interesting challenges of the United Way is back to my throwback to working for boroughs. Corporations used to wear the moniker that they gave to United Way, and they compelled most of their employees to give. And the world doesn't work that way anymore. People are independent. They don't feel, they may be proud of their corporation, but they may have their interests and so forth. And then to compound that out in Livingston County, so many of the people in Livingston County used to commute into other cities, and their programs, the money went to the other cities. We have for years talked about give to Livingston County where you live, give where you live. And I think it's even going to be more challenging now as people work from home. They're not going to have quite the connection to their office, and yet they may still want to be philanthropic. And so we hope that we can continue to get their focus at the United Way level. I'm going to put a plug in for what United Way does that people don't understand, is that the agency of the United Way, it becomes an agency because it's been vetted. One of the vettings that we do is we require them to supply financials, demonstrate their viability, supply regular audits, and therefore you know that if you're giving money to the United Way and it's supporting all these charities are truly benevolent people. They're not just fly-by-nights. They're not people who you may give money to and the money never makes it to the use. So I hope the message about United Way is it offers a sort of, what shall we say, a security or network, a net to protect your money, that it gets to where you believe you want it to go.
And I do think over the years people have shared that's one of the key factors for them, because they want to make a difference. They want to make a difference in their community, and then they don't want to research 20 places. And they're like, I know you're researching. I know you're already going through and saying this, this place has great goals and outcomes, and their finances are solid, and, they've got a board that's committed and moving forward. So that vetting, it really does make people feel comfortable that their funds are going to the right place. And honestly, some of the agencies are some of our biggest, cheerleaders.
Sure.
Cheerleader wasn't the name I would have used, but cheerleaders, because they'll say, like, when those funds come, I can do the things I want to do. I can help that person who comes in. And so for us, that makes a huge difference too, because we really want to make sure that they have the kind of funds that they can use at the moment that they need it, when a person in our community needs it. And you're right, the designation to Livingston County, that is a hard concept to teach people. So if you work for a company that's, say, like Southfield based,
Sure,
and you travel every day, when you do your United Way paperwork, all you have to do is designate it back to where you live. So if you live in Livingston County, then those funds come to us and we can make a difference right here where you live.
And it is a challenge. I mean,
it's hard
to
explain.
If you drive out of the community and then you write a check somewhere else, unless you tell the world it's got to come back here, it doesn't come back here.
Yep. It's a hard concept to teach, but it's so valuable. If your ultimate goal is to make a difference where you live, then we're trying to help people to understand how to do that. And I think that's a lot of times people are like, I really do want to help the people, my neighbors. Really, it's your neighbors. You don't know if they're in need. They might be in need. So.
And as you talked about time, and you can, if you'd elaborate on, explain how each year the charities are reviewed by community volunteers.
Sure. So we have a community investment committee, and that committee meets throughout the year, but we also have panels that when people ask for funding from United Way, the panels sit down and they go through the paperwork, and those panels are made up of anyone in our community. Anyone can sign up to be on a panel. You could be a working person here. You could, as long as you work or live in our community, you can be on a panel and help us make decisions as to where the funding goes, which is one of the things I love, because I know a lot of these agencies and I know they all do really good stuff. I mean, if I had my own pot of money, I'd be spending it on all of them. But the community that's part of these panels, they'll say, you know what, I really feel like that's going to meet a need. And they really, they put together a program. I'd like us to kind of find a way to support that. That, driven by the community, really is probably, to me, one of our most important things. And if you've never sat through presentations that the panels sit through where the agencies come and say, the number of people they're serving, how they're serving. It really does open your eyes to how many things are going on in our community. And then you get to help us decide how to spend those funds, which, how fun is that?
That's great. Yeah, I think that aspect alone, so a person who says, I'm not sure about United Way, or I don't understand how it works, to be able to sit on those panels and hear how the charities are going to use the money is so pervasive. You know, it really helps. You know,
I would agree, and that's usually like the people who walk away from that day.
Yeah,
they say, "Oh, now I understand," and I really, would like to get on a committee with you, or I'd like to get involved in something else, because they see the difference that makes.
So United Way is involved in so many things in the side. So how large is the staff, Anne?
We are giant. We have 4 full-time people and 1 30-hour-a-week person.
That's
amazing.
That's amazing. I teed that up. I knew how small your staff is.
We're small, but we're mighty.
You are
yes,
mighty.
You are.
It's kind of funny when people ask, well, what role is yours? And we're all like, all of them. So, we each have an area we have strength. So if you're a fundraiser, you have strength in fundraising. If you're a community person like Liz, who does our community investments, that's her strength. But when it comes down to things going on and like Day of Caring and all these great events, we're all in it. Every single person has their hands in that process.
It's wonderful.
Yep.
Well, you guys have done a wonderful job. So do you have anything that you particularly want us to know about the future here, or anything going on? Or
Well, we had a couple things we tried last year which seemed to have been pretty well received. We invited 60 of our local departments from the county and some of our local businesses that work in the sustainability area to talk about if there was a way to kind of just are we doing what we can do in a community that we live on these beautiful lakes and beautiful parks, and are we doing our best to take care of it? And we've never had a meeting, but literally almost, I think every person, it was like close to 100% participation.
Wow.
Came to the meeting. And so we did just a fun scavenger hunt, so like families could figure out, where do you take a battery, or how do you do it, if you want to recycle something. So I do think there's some partnerships and some interest from some of the local, like I said, even, Brian Jonkier from the Drain Commission came and said, can I just tell people what not to put in your drain? And I said, yes, Brian, you can. That's an important point. So things like that. And then I do think you'll hear us talk more and more about the older adult population. As we continue to see inflation and fixed incomes, I think that group is going to be seeking us more. And so
Sure.
I think our game plan needs to be ready. So I think that's the direction we'll be going.
Well, you've done a wonderful job. We thank you for the job that you and your staff does.
Thank
It's
you.
been absolutely wonderful. We're so proud and pleased to have you in the community and be a part of it. And, we hope others will do the same and support you the way we believe it should be supported,
Well, and I can't thank you guys enough, because every time we have any kind of event, or, you're sitting on our committees, you guys come to all of our panels, you're just great partners. And I'm thankful for all the local agencies that do things like that and businesses that support us. So we couldn't do it without you.
And there's a lot of great businesses out here that do the same, and we're so pleased, so that's really wonderful that they are.
Well, we're lucky to have you guys.
Well, we thank you for being our guest
Thank you
today.
so much.
Thank you for having
Very
me.
informing us.
And this has been another
all you
edition
do.
of Land and Legacy by Griffith Realty.